Good morning, you guys. Another video in the same outfit, but I wanted to come and talk to you about, I suppose, another grief update. As I always said, I would do these videos as and when something occurred, and it's another type of video that I know people have appreciated and a lot of people have gone through, obviously. And so I thought some people might have gone through the same thing as me with my dad's ashes. So I have spoken to you about the ashes over a couple of videos, and that my dad's kind of split because I gave half of the ashes to his wife, which I actually regret that. I do regret that because I think she said she wanted them because she would have felt bad saying no. But it's been clear since then that they don't really mean anything to her. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because some people aren't bothered about ashes. I know I've got a friend who's lost her dog and she didn't want the ashes. She says that I don't need ashes. They don't mean anything to me. I've got the memories in my heart. And that's how some people are, and that's absolutely fine. It's just an individual thing. And the more I heard from Eve, my dad's wife, and she would say things like, well, what do you want me to do with these ashes? You know, they clearly didn't mean anything to her, but I haven't had the opportunity to get them. She's keeping them because I said to her, you know, aren't you keeping them? And she said, well, I've got your dad in his clothes and he's in my heart, the same kind of thing. So she had half of them. I then split my half into half and sent them to my brother because he was feeling like dad had no final resting place and he wanted to do something, have somewhere he could visit that he felt a piece of dad was there. And so I think he's put them in somewhere with trees, a dedicated place. And so I have, you know, I always joke because I know dad would love it. And I know he would make this very same joke, which would be, I've got his left leg, you know, or I've sent Andrew his left arm, something like that. So I've got these ashes and I put them into a smaller tube and I took them out of the cupboard. And do you remember I told you that story about I took them out the cupboard started opening, and I spoke to dad and said, please don't do that. And then I moved him into the bureau and just sort of, he's been there ever since. And it's one of those things that it catches the corner of my eye because he's in the corner of the cabinet where you can see through the glass. And it catches my eye and I think, I don't know what to do with these ashes. I can't just have my dad's ashes in here forever. But you know what? You can. If that's what you want to do, you can. And actually, Kev's been great with that. He's been like, whatever you want to do is okay. You know, don't let anybody make you think that it's weird. Because there was a few people left comments on here going, you know, that's creepy or whatever. But until you've experienced it yourself, you know that grief is a very unusual thing. I've had a lot of unusual emotions, really weird things, like the fact that I can't look at photos. I'm getting a little bit better. I can look at a few photos of dad now, particularly the animated ones, but I've tucked all the photos away. I just can't look. So they were in the cabinet, but I watched Sex and the City, the new series, what was it called? And Just Like That, I think it was called. Not only did I watch it, my friend and I met up and would talk about it. We'd talk about it over text. We'd talk about it over email because we used to go and watch the movies. You know, every time there was a new movie. I think there was 3, wasn't there? Or was there just 2? But anyway, my friend and I would be like, right, that's it. We're going to the movie to watch this. And we loved Sex and the City. So we were discussing it. The first couple of episodes, we were really disappointed and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, there was a whole thing about the ashes with Carrie's husband, and that made me think more about my dad's ashes. And I thought, what would dad want me to do with them? You know, where would dad want to be? Because he's in different places. Some of them's with Eve, some of them's in this place with trees. And I was like, I have to think of them as full ashes because that's what I have, you know. And even some people have said, oh, keep some of those in case you want to do something with it. But when I thought it through, I thought, you know what, dad would not want to live with me. If I think about it in human terms, he would not want to live with me 24/7. I mean, he wouldn't have minded being my neighbour. That would have been perfect, I think, for him, or living in a little annex, you know. But he would not want to be in this house because my dad was really opposite to me in terms of he was a people person. I'm not saying I don't like people, but I'm not very sociable at all. Like myself and Kev are not sociable. We have had people over for dinner, but not for many, many years. We kind of got out of that habit, if you like. We don't go out much. I'd prefer to be home. I'm a homebody. My dad he had an open and revolving door to his flat. Like if I went to visit him, there was normally somebody there. So somebody from the church would be visiting, a friend would be visiting. and he just was happy for people to pop in. I don't know how many keys he had made for his flat, honestly, because he would just tell people to come in and make themselves a cup of tea, and he'd get out of bed if he was napping, you know. And he was also more of an outdoors person than I am, if you like, in that we only have been outdoorsy since we got Watson. But my dad was always one for going to the beach. He had this thing about getting fish and chips and going to the beach and sitting on the beach with whoever he was dating at the time. And so I said to Kev, right, let's go and sprinkle them at the particular bit that I know he liked. And we talked about how we would do it, because I said, I'm worried that they're going to like blow in my face, you know. And he's like, well, we could walk along the pier and then check the wind and then put them either side of the pier, like scatter them that way. And so and when we talked about it, I felt like, yeah, that's the right thing to do. Dad would want to be out there in the world, amongst the world, not stuck in a house with me. There's some kind of logic to that, you know, and that felt like the right thing to do. So I took Dad out of the cabinet and put him on top of the cabinet. And I think I decided this on, say, like a Wednesday or a Thursday. And anybody that knows me, in fact, it's a joke in my family that if you ask me to do something, like, it will be done before they finish the sentence, is what they say. You know, if I'm to organise anything, I do it immediately. I'm not somebody to wait. I will get it done immediately. The amount of times people have said to me, oh my God, that was quick, you know. And so once I decide something, I normally get it done. So I put them on top of the cabinet, and I thought to myself, right, will we go this evening and scatter them, or maybe tomorrow evening, or maybe I should wait until the weekend and make it an event, if you like, or combine it with a walk with Watson. I'm not sure. So, but I put them on top of the cabinet. And I kept going past them and I kept looking at them, and I don't know how long passed. It probably wasn't as long as I think. It felt like weeks, but it was probably only 4 or 5 days. But I knew that something wasn't right because I wasn't actually going to scatter them. You know, I just kept looking at them every time I went past and thinking, no. That's all it was, like, no. And eventually I had this conversation with Kev, and it's often when I'm chatting to Kev, like I said, he's so good, but it's often when I'm chatting to him, the reason for something will come out that I didn't even realise. And I was talking to him about the ashes, and I said, you know, the ashes are on top of the cabinet, but I haven't scattered them. And I realised, and I said to him, I'm not ready to let him go. And I think that's what's been stopping me. I just kept looking at them and thinking, I'm not ready to let him go. And it's, in a way, it's a selfish reason, because I decided that he would prefer to be out there in the world, not in here with me. So it is selfish because it's me. I'm not ready to let him go, but I'm just not ready to part with those ashes. Rightly, wrongly, whatever, at the moment I am not ready to part with those ashes. And I realised that as I was talking to Kevin, I got really, really upset, you know, and I said, I don't want to let him go, I'm not ready yet. And there's a few things that have happened that have been reminding me of him, and a few funny things, a few kind of, okay, you realise how much it affects you when years have passed. It's nearly 2 years. And the other day Kevin was asked me, do you mind if I drive down this particular road? And I'm like, no, it's fine, because it's a road I used to drive on the way to Dad's. There's a couple of roads like that where he'll say, this is going to be the quickest way, is that okay? Because at first I didn't want to drive near that area at all. But I said to him, oh yeah, that's fine, but this is the closest we'd ever got to Dad's flat. And I said, oh, I wonder if he's still got those lovely yellow curtains that he was just obsessed with. And then he got these new kitchen curtains that he loved. And that, from the back of his flat, you could see it from the street. You could see the curtains. And I said, I wonder if those curtains are still up. I wonder who's living there. And he said, do you want to go and look? Because it was literally, we would have needed to just turn down one street. And I was like, no, definitely don't. You know, I thought about it. I was like, oh, maybe. And then I was like, no, because if the curtains are still there, it's going to upset me, because they've got Dad's curtains. And if they're not there, I'm going to be like, rude. Why did they take Dad's curtains down? And I thought, it's just, at the minute, it's not a situation that there's any winners in, you know. And so, yeah, or it could be empty, I suppose. But I just was like, no, I don't want to do that, you know. And then, of course, I keep seeing robins, but I think that that's just coincidental. But Kev, who is like, he has never, the only paranormal experiences Kev has ever had have been with me. There's that whole movie thing that happened to us that he will barely even talk about. He's so scared. I'm pretty sure I've told you guys about it. If I've not, let me know, and I will do a video on the movie experience. But Kev was telling me just a couple of days ago that he said that the weirdest thing happened. He said, I came home and he said, he said, I don't know if it was a blackbird or a crow or whatever it was squawking and following him and Watson home. And he said it sounded exactly like he was saying Alan, which was my dad's name. He said it was constantly all the way home, like Alan, Alan, Alan. And he said, I thought that was really weird because, you know, would your dad be saying his name, or like, you know, what would that be all about? So I don't know what that was all about. And he said that it's the weirdest thing he's experienced, because he even with the doors opening, he's like, oh, some kind of pressure has opened those doors. You know, he's not a believer. Neither am I, but I'm a little bit more than him. And I think just, yeah, around the ashes, it's the things that you don't expect really kind of hit you. And you think, oh, I never imagined I'd be like that. You know, I never imagined I would keep the ashes. Anyway, so I said to Kev, I'm not ready to let him go. And I said, but I don't want to put him back in the cabinet because I feel bad now. It's almost like I've told him I'm taking him out and I'm not. You know, the same way I used to feel in life, I suppose. If I ever let my dad down, I would feel terrible. And Kev said, do you want me to put him back in there when you're not around or when you're sleeping? And I was like, yeah, that would be good. So Kev has put him back in. I actually only noticed it the other day. I was like, oh my God, he's back. He's back in there. I was like, that's fine. It's okay. I don't know if I'll ever be ready to give away those ashes, and it seems ridiculous in a way because they're just ashes. They're just his bones. I actually looked up to find out, you know, what exactly was in those ashes. And they're his bones mixed with perhaps some of the coffin, although a lot of that will have burnt away. But in a way, that's even more like, well, God, that's Dad's bones. I don't know that I want to give those away, you know. Anyway, that's where I'm at. I thought I would come and share it with you because, like I said, I know that a lot of you have gone through this, a lot of you will go through this, and maybe you won't feel as weird or as worried about it, because I'm not worried about it anymore, and I don't feel bad. I feel like Dad will be okay with whatever gets me through, you know. He will just say, whatever, darling, you know. That's the kind of thing he'd say to me, whatever's best for you. And so I know he'll be okay with it, and I'm not ready, and that's okay, and he can sit here and be in the house with us. So yeah, I hope that you found some comfort from that. Let me know what you all did with your ashes. I'm really interested. Or did anybody not get ashes of somebody that was cremated, and, you know, a human relative or a pet or whatever? Because the thing is, I know that when Watson's time comes, I will be an absolute wreck, but I know that I will want to keep his ashes with me. They won't be scattered anywhere, because he liked being at home with us. He lived with us, and with us is where he should be, and I want him to be buried with me, you know. And so I know that I will be keeping Watson's ashes, but yeah, it feels different with Dad. So yeah, I'd love to hear your stories. Thanks very much for listening, and I'll speak to you again soon.